If there's one thing that can unite us in this divided time, it's judging other people's music taste. Spotify Wrapped is more than a yearly ritual. Spotify Wrapped reveals something about the state of humanity that we've been unwilling to face within ourselves. There's a new epidemic in our society, an analytical approach to taste, a report that quantifies your listening habits. It would not be much of an exaggeration to say that Spotify Wrapped is really the Rorschach test of our times. Through this musical highlight reel, we take a long, deep look in the mirror. But more importantly, we get to look at the dark-rooted psychological afflictions of our friends and family. Because through this musical highlight reel, you get to understand the inner workings of the world around you. You get a rare glimpse into the mind of everyone in your surroundings. You can understand what motivates them. You get to evaluate their level of emotional distress.
I ain't special.
There's a cyclical pattern that happens every year. As we collectively turn a new page to a new chapter of our lives, a whole new generation of armchair psychologists pop out of nowhere, diagnosing their closest friends with terminal illnesses the second one drop of coworker music is found in their mix. When people post their Spotify Wrapped, they're laying their sins at the altar. They are atoning before Judgment Day. The data molds and shifts public perception, tears some people down, while ruthlessly magnifying the ego of others. So let's take a peek under the hood. Let's indulge in some exposure therapy. Voluntarily, we have all become Big Brother. This Spotify Wrapped epidemic has become so bad, some people pretend to like an artist for an entire year, just to influence public perception. Social capital is the currency of our times. I know for a fact that there are people that pretend to listen to something deep, when in absolute reality, they couldn't care less. There is also an unspoken pretentiousness to Spotify Wrapped. Confession time. I use Apple Music, so I wouldn't know. But make no mistake, I still have FOMO. Feel like that one Android user sending green texts in the group chat. Live my life as Shrek on the outside. I know a good amount of people that pretend to listen to alternative music just to give the impression that they have a more sophisticated music taste. I think that people have this perception that if they listen to anything mainstream, they are just conforming to the status quo, and they would see themselves as sheep who are unable to think for themselves. So as this defiant countercultural resistance, they pretend to only bump Danny Brown, MF Doom, JPEG Mafia, and some obscure female vocalists. No shade to any of these artists. Some of their music is definitely quite compelling, but some people want to shift their image to conform to some subculture identity. It is not a natural reflection of what they would normally curate for themselves. This is tribalism in its final form. It's peacocking to a captive audience. But in the same breath, we also crucify anyone that deviates too far from the norm. And sometimes, for good reason.
Bitch, I fucking knew that already.
If you consensually listen to Tom Mcdonald, your friends already assume that you have an RFK-style worm in your head. Same thing goes with Dax.
Upon everybody who came before me and tell them to come and tell me whatever they smoking, man. I'm sick.
If you openly and excitedly listen to Dax, people think that you are one of those people that acts out for attention to get into the psych ward. But this public shunning, while sometimes necessary, reveals more about us than we would like to admit. If your top artist was Drake, you might be an NPC. Sorry to have to be the one to tell you this. You are more than capable of breaking out of this simulation. I get annoyed when people fake their Spotify Wrapped results to fit into an aesthetic and conform to an identity archetype. Some people use their music to present themselves as a trad wife. Others use their music taste to show that they're a conscious thinker. But some people just want to use their music to express the fact that they're liberated and you can't tell them what to do. Humans are silly. I see Apple Music as the lesser of the two evils. I don't choose Apple Music because of some moral stance. It's laziness, it's convenience. But I'm actually about to blow your minds and tell you that I was using a streaming service called Napster. Now you don't even remember what that was. And now I'm really sad I can't get all the mixtapes I used to listen to. Spotify Wrapped is nothing more than a paper trail of how you spent your year. But the more you open your mind and expand your horizons, the more music you consume, the more you will evolve with your music taste. I'm sad I can't listen to the same mixtapes I used to though. They were all kind of there illegally, but it's fine. It's fine. It's not fine, but it's fine. I'm not exaggerating that much when I say that Spotify Wrapped could be saving lives. If you catch one of your friends routinely listening to Juice WRLD, XXXTentacion, and Linkin Park, you might want to give them a hug. It's worth doing a wellness check. On the other hand, Spotify is also destroying lives. Welcome to the Salem witch trials of our times. I remember when people were blacking out their stuff on their Instagram stories because they were afraid that people would understand that they were listening to Kanye. This was during the peak of his heated gamer moments.
You ain't got the answers!
Anyways, you want to check in on the people that are disenfranchised. Listen to what you want, have fun, be safe out there. Hit that red button to give me that dopamine, and follow the madness.